So who made the armor? Nowadays, we sometimes think about, if you were a medieval knight, you go down to the local blacksmith and get him to bang out a suit of armor for you. But nothing could be further from the truth. Making armor was a highly specialized, really difficult craft. Imagine what it takes just to make a flat sheet of steel turn into the shape of a human leg. The human body has all these complex curves and shapes to it. Just making something that's the right shape is really difficult to do, let alone making something that's actually going to flex the way the actual human body flexes. This is not just something a blacksmith can do. You've got to be really well trained to do it. Consider, for example, you must have been at some point going out to the shops, buying yourself a pair of shoes, trying them on, and they didn't fit, and how bad that felt. Imagine if those shoes were made of steel. And that would give you an idea of what poorly fitting armor would be like. So that's why when you get an armor, you want to have it made by a highly trained specialist. It was years of training, 7 years of training as an apprentice before you could even start to sell your skill as a hired hand, as a journeyman. And then years beyond that of experience before you might set up as a master. And that's assuming you even have the money that it takes to afford the shop, all the specialized tools and equipment that it takes in order to be an armorer. So for the most part, the number one qualification for becoming an armorer is that you come from an armor-making family. Your dad was an armorer. He's got all the tools. He's got the shop. He's got the skills. He brings you up. He teaches you how to be an armorer so that you're brought up into the craft. So making a suit like this, it might take months of work for an armorer, plus perhaps a hired assistant and maybe a couple of apprentices to produce that armor, maybe in the 3+ months range, and that's before you even start to decorate it. The decoration, if it's gilt and etched decoration like this, wouldn't necessarily be done by the armorer himself. He'd likely contract this out to a specialized etcher, as well as to an artist who could create the designs that would be etched into the armor. This is an unusual suit, actually, in that we know who made it. In most cases, armor is anonymous. We don't know who made it. We don't know who wore it. But in this case, we don't know who wore it, but we do know that it was made by Pompeo della Chiesa. He was one of the leading Italian armorers around the year 1600.